The cleaner was about to be fired unfairly, but the parrot said something that changed everything. In the bustling heart of Evergreen City, where towering skyscrapers kissed the clouds and the streets hummed with the rhythm of hurried lives, lived a woman named Alara Voss. Alara was a cleaner, not just by profession but by the quiet grace she brought to every task. With her warm hazel eyes that sparkled like autumn leaves under sunlight and her gentle smile that could melt the frostiest of hearts, she was the kind of person who made the world feel a little less chaotic. At 35, she had shouldered more burdens than most, raising her two young children, Liam and Sophia, alone after her husband passed away in a tragic accident 5 years ago. Liam, with his curious blue eyes and boundless energy, dreamed of becoming an astronaut, while Sophia, delicate and artistic, sketched flowers that seemed to bloom off the page. Alara's days began before dawn, scrubbing floors and polishing surfaces in the opulent homes of the wealthy, all to ensure her little ones had food on the table and dreams in their hearts. Alara's most cherished job was at the Harrington estate, a sprawling mansion perched on the hills overlooking the city. The Harringtons were old money. Mr. Theodore Harrington, a stern businessman with a reputation for ruthlessness in boardrooms, and his wife, Isabella, a socialite whose days were filled with charity galas and afternoon teas. Their home was a labyrinth of marble halls, crystal chandeliers, and priceless antiques, guarded by a vigilant staff. But what made the place truly alive was Percy, the family's vibrant African gray parrot. Percy was no ordinary bird. With feathers shimmering in shades of emerald and scarlet, he was a mimic extraordinaire, echoing conversations with uncanny precision. He perched in a gilded cage in the grand library, where Alara often spent hours dusting leather-bound books and wiping down the mahogany desks. Percy had taken a liking to her, squawking, "Hello, lovely," whenever she entered, a phrase he'd picked up from Isabella's flirtatious guests. Alara had worked for the Harringtons for 3 years, her dedication unwavering. She arrived at 6 a.m. sharp, her uniform crisp and her spirit unbroken, even on days when grief weighed heavy on her soul. Mr. Harrington barely noticed her, treating her like part of the furniture, but Isabella was kinder, occasionally slipping her extra tips or asking about her children. "You're a godsend, Alara," Isabella would say, her voice laced with genuine warmth. In return, Alara poured her heart into her work, making the mansion gleam like a jewel. She even shared quiet moments with Percy, feeding him treats and whispering stories about Liam and Sophia. The parrot would tilt his head, his beady eyes attentive, as if he understood every word. But shadows loomed over this fragile harmony. Lately, items had begun to vanish from the estate: an antique gold locket from Isabella's jewelry box, a rare first-edition book from the library, and most recently, a diamond-encrusted brooch worth thousands. Whispers of theft rippled through the household staff. Mr. Harrington, ever the pragmatist, hired a private investigator, but suspicions fell quickly on Alara. She was the outsider, the one with financial struggles everyone knew about, bills piling up, Sophia's art classes to pay for, Liam's school fees. "It's always the ones you least expect," Mr. Harrington muttered during a family dinner, his words unwittingly captured by Percy's sharp ears. The accusation came on a crisp autumn morning, the leaves outside swirling like confetti in the wind. Alara was in the library, her hands trembling slightly as she polished the brass fittings on Percy's cage. Mr. Harrington stormed in, his face flushed with anger, Isabella trailing behind with a look of reluctant sorrow. "Alara, we need to talk," he barked, holding up a small velvet pouch, the one that had held the missing brooch. "This was found in your locker downstairs. Care to explain?" Alara's heart plummeted like a stone in a well. "Mr. Harrington, I swear, I didn't take anything. I've never stolen in my life. Please, you have to believe me." Her voice cracked, visions of her children flashing before her eyes, Liam's laughter, Sophia's innocent drawings. Losing this job meant eviction, hunger, shattered dreams. But the evidence was damning. Someone had planted the pouch in her locker, a cruel setup she couldn't fathom. Isabella wrung her hands, her elegant features twisted in conflict. "Alara, we've trusted you, but," the investigator confirmed it, "we have no choice. You're fired, effective immediately. And we'll be pressing charges." Tears streamed down Alara's cheeks as she gathered her things, her world crumbling. The staff watched in hushed silence, some with pity, others with smug satisfaction. As she passed the library one last time, Percy fluttered his wings, sensing the tension. "Goodbye, lovely," he squawked softly, but Alara was too broken to respond. She stepped out into the driveway, the weight of injustice pressing on her chest like an iron vice. How could this happen? Who would do such a thing? She thought of her children waiting at home, oblivious to the storm about to engulf them. Back inside, Mr. Harrington paced the library, his mind already shifting to replacements. That woman had us fooled, he grumbled to Isabella. We'll need to tighten security. No more outsiders. Isabella nodded absently, her gaze drifting to Percy, who was unusually agitated, bobbing his head and muttering fragments of overheard conversations. Quiet, Percy, she said, but the parrot ignored her, his voice rising in a mimicry that chilled the room. Hide it quick, no one will know. Alara's locker, perfect scapegoat. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Mr. Harrington froze, his eyes widening. What did he just say? Percy repeated it, clearer this time, in a voice that eerily matched that of their nephew, Julian, Isabella's sister's son, who had been staying with them for months. Julian, with his charming smile and hidden gambling debts, had access to every corner of the house. Hide it quick, no one will know. Alara's locker, perfect scapegoat. The parrot bobbed triumphantly, as if proud of his revelation. Isabella gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Oh God, Theodore, that sounds just like Julian. He was in the library yesterday, talking on the phone. Percy must have overheard. Mr. Harrington's face paled as the pieces clicked into place. Julian had been acting suspiciously, always borrowing money, disappearing for hours. The investigator's report suddenly seemed flawed, perhaps Julian had tampered with it too. Rushing to the security cameras they rarely checked, they fast-forwarded through footage. There it was, Julian slipping into the staff room late at night, planting the pouch in Alara's locker with a furtive glance over his shoulder. Shame washed over Mr. Harrington like a tidal wave. We've made a terrible mistake, he whispered, his voice breaking for the first time in years. Isabella nodded, tears welling in her eyes. We have to make this right. Now. They found Alara at the bus stop down the hill, her shoulders slumped, staring blankly at the horizon. The Harringtons' sleek black car pulled up, and Mr. Harrington stepped out, hat in hand, a gesture of humility he'd never shown before. Alara, please, come back. We've wronged you terribly. Alara looked up, confusion and hurt etched on her face. What do you mean? Back at the mansion, they explained everything, Percy's words, the footage, Julian's betrayal. The nephew had confessed over the phone when confronted, admitting to the thefts to fund his addictions. He was on his way to turn himself in, but the damage to Alara's spirit was profound. As Percy squawked triumphantly from his cage, justice served. Justice served. A phrase he'd picked up from a courtroom drama on TV, Alara sat in stunned silence. Mr. Harrington knelt before her, an act that shocked even Isabella. Alara, I am deeply sorry. My prejudice blinded me. You've been more than a cleaner, you've been the heart of this home. Please, forgive us. Your job is yours, with a raise, and we'll cover any losses you've suffered. And, we'd like to help with your children's education. It's the least we can do. Tears flowed freely now, not just from Alara, but from Isabella too. You're family to us now, she said, embracing the woman she'd nearly destroyed. In the days that followed, the Harrington estate transformed. Julian faced justice, his actions a wake-up call for the family. Alara returned, not as a mere employee, but as a trusted confidant. Liam and Sophia visited the mansion, their eyes wide with wonder at Percy's antics. The parrot became their favorite, teaching them phrases of encouragement. Dream big, little ones. Alara's life bloomed anew. With the raise and support, she enrolled Sophia in advanced art classes and Liam in science camps. But more than the material gains, it was the lesson in humanity that touched her soul. In a world quick to judge the vulnerable, a simple parrot had become the voice of truth, reminding everyone that justice could come from the most unexpected places. Years later, as Alara watched her children thrive, Liam launching model rockets, Sophia exhibiting her paintings, she often thought of that fateful day. Percy, now an old friend, still greeted her with, "Hello, lovely." And in quiet moments, she'd whisper to him, "Thank you for changing everything." The end wasn't just a resolution, it was a rebirth. Alara Voss, the cleaner who was almost broken, emerged stronger, her story a testament to resilience, forgiveness, and the power of unspoken truths. In the grand tapestry of life, sometimes it's the smallest creatures that weave the most profound changes, turning despair into hope, one squawk at a time.